Welcome to committee. The floor is yours.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm blessed to even be up here and have a chance to have a conversation like this, so thank you. My name is Joshua David Crosier. I started my professional career or academia in natural resources management from Hocking College. I followed that up with an environmental science degree from the University of Rio Grande, and I followed that up with a Master's of Science in Sustainable Agriculture from Ohio University. I've been a guest speaker at Donnie's Museum. I have recently took a job as a cannabis history instructor at Hocking College, and I'm also a founder of Soiled Obsessions, an agriculture and horticultural consultation service. I know very little about this political process and how things are done here, admittedly. I have no cannabis cultivation license. I have no cannabis processor's license. I don't even have a farm. So why am I up here? I'm up here because I feel I can offer a unique outlook from my sustainability work. So I try to look at this from a farmer standpoint. And I'm not just talking hemp farms. I've worked on perch farms, mushroom farms, pawpaw farm, produce farms, tree farms. The list goes on and on. However, I will say hemp farmers are very passionate people, and every one of the farms I've been invited on and every one that I've went to look at, these are upstanding people that want to do the right thing. Not only for their not only for their pockets, not only for their companies, but also just for sustainability reasons. So like Donnie touched on there, the synthetic cannabinoids and the Delta-8 discussion. Okay, the House Bill 86 has some questionable language on that, where I think you're really confusing these Delta-8s that have been grown in a non-sustainable manner. Just a note, if people aren't aware on how Delta-8s reach our market, it's grown on mass fields. Cannabis plants can contain a little bit of Delta-8 naturally, but that ain't what we're looking at in stores. We're looking at a product that's grown in abundance, and then the use of hydrocarbons is used to extract this Delta-8, or acids are used to produce that. I am up here because I'm worried that that's being confused on the House Bill 86 with your language of full spectrum hemp products and edibles. Some of the farms I've been on, including Joey's, including Matt from Canopy Relief, including AppGirls, all these are small family farms. They had the opportunity. They could have bought Delta-8, and they could have enhanced their products with this Delta-8 to make more money, but they chose not to because it was morally and environmentally irresponsible to do so. So I see this language kind of affecting these farmers who are producing gummies using no synthetic cannabinoids, and they're not using hydrocarbons for this extraction process. They're doing things the right way. I don't think they should be affected by this in such a way. So basically half of these products will become illegal due to the irresponsibleness of the Delta-8 market, which is not even the same discussion. So that is definitely something I wanted to touch on. And a question I heard brought up earlier about, has these THC levels increased since the 60s, or how has that drug changed? Well, maybe even if the potency has gone up, part of the issue right now is consumers are buying based upon the percent of THC. And they're doing this because we're coming off of a black market, so they want to get bang for their buck. The entourage effect and tests done, blind tests done, support the fact that people actually prefer a lower THC product. Consumers are buying this because they don't know any better. They think they're buying, on an economic standpoint, a more THC per dollar. Whereas the real issue is that THC at these percentages aren't dangerous. And the longer that this market is is utilized, you'll see this growth in THC stop because people want the flavor associated with it. So the higher the THC, the less flavor, the less aromatic compounds, the less terps, flavonoids, all that stuff associated with it. So that's something I wanted to touch on. And I wanted to touch on, once again, hemp farmers. These hemp farmers that are going to be affected by this House Bill 86 number are the same hemp farmers that can help you close that gap between the same gap that we've talked with other members that have come up here today. The market's going to need cannabis. The hemp farmers already have the hemp infrastructure to do that. I think they should be considered in this discussion because they can help roll out that small scale, hey, there aren't winners and losers type situation. Well, why don't we give the family farms that are still going to be family farms, whether hemp or cannabis exists or not, these are farmers. These are people that really can have an impact on our local communities. So I'm up here more from a sustainability aspect. That's my background. And sustainability doesn't stop with the economics. There's 3 pillars of it. There's also the social and the environmental impact. So I urge you guys to look at the language in 86 and start to figure out how you can separate these synthetic cannabinoids that got the bad rap for this. And now these farmers in this room are paying the price for that. I don't think that's fair. I really appreciate my time up here, and that's basically it in a nutshell. I could ramble on forever, but that's my points. Is there any questions that?
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions from the committee? I do have one question for you. I mean, is there a real problem? Is there a fear, and I know hemp farmers as well, will this put them out of business, do you think, if they're not included in the conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of them. And that's hurting small town USA, you know, at the expense of MSOs, you know. So let's face it, like, there's multi-state operators that come in here to gobble up the market, and then there's us farmers, family farmers, who need help. This is the opportunity to help that, especially in southeastern Ohio and Athens and Meigs. It's like these communities have been devastated and impacts far outside of big ag. You know, this is an opportunity to help close that gap and help bring money to the communities that need it most. Meanwhile, having the people that did the right thing, even when they didn't have to, even though there was loopholes in this law, like these people held true. Like I really, really strongly encourage consideration, similar to that we see in New York, to where hemp farmers are granted priority access to THC licensing. You know, if not, I mean, we've already started this consolidation of big business going on. Can we get the little guys a shot at this? You know, that's all they're asking for is a shot. It's already hard in agriculture. This was the opportunity to help promote that system that's already hugely impacted.
Thank you. Representative White.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, sir. Just quickly then, could you provide specific sections of the bill that need changed based on what you said the problems are? With the, not here today, but if you could send it to the chair's office, what's the synthetic thing that we're going to be hurting by doing X, Y, Z? You know it inside and out. This may move quickly, may not, but we need the language as soon as possible. And then suggested sections of allowing the hemp farmers to have more of a voice. And then just to Rep. Richardson's question, you mentioned, well, the potency may have increased. I know I've been hearing for years from law enforcement and others, it's not your father's pot. It's different potency and different strength. So if that is a true statement, why is that? And do we need to be concerned about things that are being added to the product as we regulate?
So as Donnie touched on, the potency, and like you said, it ain't your grandfather's pot or whatever, the potency has gone up, but that isn't due to the plant. I mean, there are great breeders this day that are advancing the capacities of this plant. However, it's more so due to the growers. You know, the growers are getting better at maximizing the total THC out of this pot, similar to when alcohol hit prohibition. The main goal was stronger, 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 higher percentage alcohol. That's been the breeding goal for decades. Once in a legal system, like I'm not like sitting around like wanting moonshine, you know, I'm drinking like light beer and stuff, you know, like it isn't about that high potency anymore. It becomes about experience at that point. So I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know, and I will gather as much specifics on the Delta 8 scenario.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the potency, the THC has gone up.
Generally speaking, yes. The THC has gone up from my experience. Now, I know, you know, I don't collect data on this, but from what I've heard, from what I've collected, the THC has gone up, but still we're sitting at a threshold now where how much more can THC go up in flower? So right now, people are hitting these 30% THCs on flower. Like, if it goes up anymore, there won't be any fiber left. Like, I don't think, you know, like every time a THC percentage goes up, that means there's less flavor associated with it and less cellulose, every other component of that plant is going down. The actual biology and physiology of this plant can't actually withstand going up any, I mean, you would have to be like maybe a breeder 100 years from now could get THC at 50%. But once again, it's going to be at the expense of other medicinal and therapeutic uses.
Representative Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You just brought a question to me. Given all of your experience, and obviously you're very well learned in this whole area, do you think it would be wise for us as a body of legislators to take our time and get as much information as possible before we just start putting this out in terms of regulatory processes, and to make sure we don't leave out the small guys? And I think you hit on it with priority to those that are currently here in the state of Ohio trying to do this.
Yeah, so I do feel well versed in a lot of areas of this plant and education. However, with that question, I'm glad I don't have your guys' job. I'll say that, because like when I'm looking at what you guys have to deal with and juggle, man, I respect it a lot more. I think some of the moves that have been made to go ahead and let consumers get this product now and keeping the home grow is very beneficial. I don't know what the implications of slowing it down at the expense of this would mean for other parts of the bill, I guess. But I do think the whole Delta 8 and the full spectrum hemp issue is a major priority, because you're going to be, right off the gate, you're going to be saying bye to the little guys, the people that have tried to do this the right way, and you're going to be saying hello to outside interest coming in. I mean, it's a fair game and all, but it's just nice if we could, if us real farmers could get a chance to, let's not forget, this is not just a business. This is an agricultural crop. Like, this is a real plant. So if the farmers that have been doing this can, you know, have a spot, I mean, I think they would all feel blessed to have that opportunity.
Representative White?
Thank you, Chair. One last question, the same question. Once a home grower gets going, how much per plant do you think they'd be able to produce?
Okay, so you could produce as little as a 1/4 ounce. I mean, I've seen people produce cannabis plants and have like 1 gram of bud on it. Now, like Donnie really touched on it well. It's the lumens and it's the light and it's the total micromoles that plant receives. So if you took one 1,000 watt light and put it over top of a plant, and you kept that plant in vegetative state until it was as big as this room, and then flipped it, you could get a couple pounds off that. But that's going to be off the expense of not turning over more crops. So most home growers are going to want to get that plant vegetated, and then they're going to want to flip it to flower because they need their medicine. So on average, I would say 2.5 ounces, because then you could do it 5 times a year. Versus, hey, I got to grow a plant that takes 8 months this long to produce this yield.
Chair, doing the math then, 2.5, if you're really trying to get that, 5 times a year times 6 plants would be a minimum that we could look at. So that is a lot per household. Per person is 6, per household 12, but no need to further. I know we need to move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Richardson?
Thank you, Chairman. I believe that Representative White asked my question. I will just follow up with, do you support a 6-plant homegrown?
Actually, my consumption is large, so that seems very minimal to me. However, on average, for the average consumer, I think, 6 is the bottom end of that. But, I don't, like I said, I respect you guys, and I'm glad I don't have to make that decision.
Thank you.
Thank you. No follow-up. Thank you.
Further questions? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next, we'll call Sarah Koya Bryant.